on your screen? Okay, thank you. Right, so I think I asked you to do an exploration. Like I said, that a couple of people sent evidence of work, but it didn't appear to be, well, either the right thing or not very complete, should we say. So I'll go through it, the methods. Hopefully, if you did manage to get through that exploration, it will make sense to you. If not, obviously, you've got some catch up to do. All right, so basically, it says the table shows the number of hours a group of 50 students spent watching online videos in 1 week. Okay, so we've got, what was the maximum possible number of hours that someone spent in a week watching online videos? 50. Can you imagine spending 50 hours in a week? 50 hours. That's crazy. I guess it was summer holidays. What was the least amount of time someone spent? Above 0. Good. Well done. Thank you. All right. What would be the modal class? Good. So this would be the modal class. Okay, do you all remember how to find the median for this kind of data? Anyone want to start me off? You should be at the stage of being able to do this. So if you're all quiet because you're on Zoom and it's awkward, that's fine. But if you're quiet because you have no idea, that's not so good. And I have no way of telling. Is there anyone that would like to show that at least they know what to start? What do we need to do first for the median? Does no one know? Can someone say, I just don't know? Sorry, Jai, is that you? I can barely hear you. Did you say something about finding the median? Is this we don't know, guys? Oh, Taylor knows. Jai knows. Okay, good. Does anyone else know? Do you all know? Are you just not wanting to say? Okay. So the median, the first step is, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first step is to add all the numbers together and then divide by how many numbers there are. No. What do I do?
Of numbers.
Cool.
Then you add 1 and divide by 2.
Good. So we've got this 50 students. Thank you, Taylor. You've just made my life much easier. 50 students. We add 1, divide by 2. That makes 51. Divide by 2 is 25.5. So that means we need the 25th and 26th numbers. Okay. And where are they? Well, if I go down the list, I've got 8 here, 12 there, that makes 20. Another 16 makes 36. So the 20th and the 26th numbers must lie in the same group as the modal class. So the median is in the 20 to 30 group. Okay. All right. What I want to cover with you today is finding the mean of this data. So the mean is when you add up all the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. Okay, so I'll just write that down so we've got it. So the mean, you find that by add up each number and then you divide by how many numbers you have. Now, we can see, I don't know whether you've seen this in the textbook, but I can write this as the sum, okay, of xf divided by n. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, we'll talk about it when you're back in school, but this sign, for those of you that are used to using Excel, is called a sigma sign, and it means the sum of, okay? It's a Greek letter. But we've got to add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers there are. Now, let's look at these numbers, okay? Tell me the problem with that, having to do that at the moment. How many numbers have I got to add together? Mm-hmm. Talia, how many numbers have I got to add together? Pardon? It wouldn't be 5. I see why you say that. It's not 5, though. That's kind of a common mistake that happens. So we can sort that out. Say it again. Did you say something else? No. Nick, how many numbers are there? If it's not 5, how many numbers are there? No? Okay, we're getting somewhere. At least we don't know. Sam, how many numbers are there? It would be 50. Well done, Sam. Thank you. There are 50 numbers. Yeah. How do I know? Because it said 50 up there, and if I add up the frequencies, I know that there are 50 numbers. Emily, what does this 11 mean?
How often a number is in that time bracket?
Yeah. So we've got 11 numbers that are between 30 and 40. Ollie, what does this 8 mean?
The first frequency.
But what does it mean? Not what it is, what does it mean? Well, you've just had the answer to what the 11 meant. Follow on from it. What does the 8 mean?
It's the answer to the equation.
No. What equation?
How many times it pops up in the data?
Did you hear what our previous response was? No. So you're not really attending my lesson. Okay. Something to note. Dana, you probably listened to it. 8. What's the 8? Good, thank you. Yeah, the number of times the time was between 0 and 10. Okay. Hannah, these 8 numbers, what are they? Do you know? Can you tell? Or is it not possible to know? So we've got 8 numbers between 0 and 10. Do you know what they are? No, exactly. So your answer would be no. Good. There you go. That's the answer I wanted. Yeah, it doesn't tell me what those numbers are. We said we've grouped them together. So it's 0 to 10. It's somewhere. We might have 8 numbers that are all 10s. But we might have a spread somewhere between 0 to 10. We just don't know. All right? So if we're going to add up all the numbers, all 50 numbers, but we don't know what they are, there's a problem, right? how are we going to add up numbers that aren't there? So, Alistair, what do you think this mid-interval value being 5, compare it to this, the time in hours, the mid-interval, this is the interval. Why do you think they put a 5 there? Pardon? It's half of 10. And where does 5 fall within the group of 0 to 10? In the middle. Good. Okay. Going along with that pattern, Josh, what do you think the mid-interval value would be for this interval? It would be 15. Okay. All right. Amaya, what's the next mid-interval value? Good. Yeah. 25. The next one will be 35. The next one will be 45. Okay. So what we've done here, look, this 40, well, can anyone, well, silly, I'm going to say can anyone. No one's going to own up to that. Taylor, you're my reliable one. Have you spotted why it's a 40?
I don't know why, but I know that they times the frequency in the mid-interval value.
Yeah, there you go. So this is the 8 times the 5. So what that means, guys, is that we don't know what these numbers are from 0 to 10, but we do know they fall within 0 to 10, and we know there are 8 numbers. To find the mean, what we need to do is add all the numbers up, but we don't know what they are. So how are we going to do it? Well, what we do is we assume that they're all 5. Okay, and we're probably wrong, but we're going to assume they are 5. And the reason why we take the middle of the group, the mid-interval value, is because taking the middle kind of minimizes our error. So if I choose 5, but things are 6 or 7, that's not a big problem. If I'd have picked 10 to represent the group, but everything was 1s and 2s, which it could be, then there's quite a big error. So by picking the middle of the group to represent the group, I'm kind of minimizing how wrong I am, right? And I will never know how wrong I am until I get the raw data, the data that this came from, but we won't get that. It won't be given to us. So we're going to assume we have got 8 5s. Now, what's the easiest way to add up 8 5s? Sam. What's the easiest way to add up 8 5s? Say that again. Yeah, that's it. Ollie, you had your hand up. Were you going to answer that? Cool. So if I do the next one, or you do it, Ollie, I've got 12 numbers in this group. I'm going to assume they're all 15. So how do I find adding all those up? You don't need
to do 12 times 15.
Yeah, 12 times 15. So I'm assuming I've got 12 15s in that group. So I'm going to do 15, add 15, add 15, add 15. All right, now we just need to know what 12 times 15 is. Anyone want to do that for me?
I will.
Go for it.
180.
180. Okay. The next one, you're going to have to work these out, guys, for me. The next one, I've got 16 numbers that I'm going to assume are 25s. So 16 lots of 25. Tell me the answer. 400. Okay. I've got 11 numbers that I'm going to assume are 35s. Cool. I've got 3 numbers that I'm going to assume are 45.
135.
Okay. All right. What's the final step?
Adding them all up.
Add them up. Because I've added up all the 5s, I've added up all the 15s, but when we do the mean, we have to add up all the numbers. So I've only added up all the 5s. So now I need to add together those numbers and get my total. So can you do that for me?
$1,140.
I don't know. Can anyone confirm? Can you verify? That's why I get you all to do it, just because it's very easy to press. Pardon?
Right.
He's right. Cool. Okay. So we have added up all the numbers. So in terms of my thing here, adding up all the numbers and using this little thing here. All right, adding up all the numbers, we think 1,140, and we have to divide that by how many numbers there are. Dana, how many numbers are there? 50, good. So I've got to now share that amount across my 50 numbers, and what do I get?
$22.8.
22 point. I'm not checking. I'm hoping you're checking each other. But let's just go and have like our first visual check. 22.8 falls in which group? Well, that falls here as well, look. All right? So my mean, all right, would fall in this group as well. Now, that's quite nice because my modal class is that class, my median would be in that group, and the mean is also in that group, which seems to be quite a good thing. All right. Now, just a couple of things. This number here has a symbol called X with a bar atop it. Okay. That just means the mean. Okay. That symbol is one of the symbols we use for the mean. So when you see that in the textbook, so using this formula here, we would say X bar equals. Now, do you see what this means now? What does XF mean? If you think about what we did. Josh, what do you think that bit means, the XF? Go on, you keep cutting out. Okay. It's a bit tough. Let's go with someone else then. Aidan, what do you think?
I think that I don't know the answer to it.
So what process did we do, Aidan, to start up here? What?
Divided the
No. What did we do here?
we times the frequency and the mid-interval value.
Yeah. Right. So frequency I can call F. The mid-interval value, what do you think we'd call it?
The numbers.
Yeah, but if I've called frequency F, I could call it T for time.
M.
Well, think to this formula. Here's the F, look. What do you think the X is? X is the mid-interval value in this case. Okay. I could have called it a T in this case because it's time, but to generalize, guys, the X is the number or the mid-interval value multiplied by the frequency, right? XF is X times F. The sigma, like I've said, is adding all together, which we did, and dividing by n. What's n? Hannah, what's n?
Is the 22.8?
It's not actually, no. I'm lining it for you. What's n?
There are.
There you go. You took the hint. Yeah, n is the number of numbers. Yeah, n for number of, well, numbers or whatever you want to call it. Number of numbers. Okay, so this formula just basically says sum of, add up all the numbers times their frequencies and then divide by the number of numbers. That's what that means. So add up each number, divide by how many numbers, and we end up with the answer to 22.8 in this case. We did a quick check that that fell within the range of the numbers, because remember we've talked in a previous lesson that if it's too big or too small, if it's below the minimum or above the maximum, we must have done something wrong. And we did that with a mean when you add it all up and then divided. But like Sam said to us, like if you only divide without brackets or pressing equals, you only divide the last number. So we just want to check we haven't done that. We've now got a new symbol here for the mean. That's what it means, x. In this case, actually, I shouldn't call it an x. I should say it's the mean time is 22.8. Okay, so this is actually technically correct in this instance because we're doing time. Now, there's one final thing, and this might seem like a little bit of a throwaway question, but it's actually a super important one that comes up in assessments. And this mean that we've just worked out, we must add another word. It's not the mean, it is an estimated mean. This word is super important. It's an estimated mean. Can someone give me an idea? Why do you think it's only an estimate? Why is it not the actual mean? Why is it only an estimate?
Because we don't have the true value of the frequencies.
Not the frequencies, the true value of the, you're right, of the time, exactly. Right, it's an estimate, well done. It's an estimate because we don't know, my computer's going slow, the actual numbers. Okay, we use the midpoints, so all the numbers could be completely different. We're hoping that some are above and some are below and they kind of cancel each other out, so our mean is quite a good one, but we don't know, so we can only say in this group frequency that it's an estimated mean. All right, so just to recap, we've got this grouped data. We don't know the actual data. We do know that there are 50 students that spent watching time, like video. Like 8 people were anywhere between 0 and 10, 11 were anywhere between 30 and 40. The modal class is the one with the most in it. All right. The median, well, we did the 50, just like we've done before for median. There are 50, so we needed to find the middle. So we got 50 plus 1 divided by 2 is 51 divided by 2 is 25.5. So we needed to find the 25th and the 26th numbers, and they both happen to be in the 20 to 30 group. So this one and this one, right? It's the same, which is quite nice. It's not always the case. We'll talk about that another time. We then wanted to find the mean as the third of the averages. So because we don't know what the numbers are to add them up, we decided, well, we didn't decide, we get told to do, we find the mid value and we assume all the numbers are in the middle of the groups between 40 and 50 is 45. We add all those numbers up and we do that by multiplying by how many there are. So 8 times 5 gives me 40. We add all of them up to get our total. All right. We then divide that by how many numbers there are, which is the common mistake is to say 5 because there are 5 groups, but we've actually got 50 numbers. And we get a value for the mean. We have a new symbol for the mean, which is the X with the bar, or in this case, a T with a bar. And the final thing was it's an estimated mean because we don't know the actual numbers. Okay? We took a mid value, so they could be above or below. They could all be above, but we don't know, so this mean value will have to do. Okay, that's my video.